Dude, actually, the Nexus 6P, before Google's Pixel lineup,
Was it made by Huawei?
was made by Huawei. Yeah, their last generation of the Nexus phones was made by Huawei.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really good phone. I like it.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Except for the fact that right now it's stuck in a boot loop because I use it. Oh, it's so frustrating because I use it as a phone and as an alarm so I can keep my actual phone next to my bed, and it'll last for like over a week on airplane mode because I don't need it to connect anything. So I'll charge it occasionally, and I thought I had enough charge for one last night, but I didn't. It died. I woke up 30 minutes late for work. Thankfully, still got to work on time, but now I can't get it to turn back on.
Oh, that's lame.
It's just stuck in a boot loop, and I really, really want to get back on it because I use Google Authenticator as two-factor authentication for Discord.
I hate that. That happened with my last
Discord.
phone.
It's just for Discord. And I remember reading that there's no way to
it's like impossible.
That. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm really worried now. I have to get into this phone so if I get signed out of Discord, I'm not going to be able to get back in.
So my first Android phone was a Sony Xperia, and I loved that phone. But the problem was I cracked it, and the crack completely disabled the screen. And so in order to get out of all that two-factor authentication, I had to buy an adapter so I could plug in a mouse and use the mouse on the phone in order to get off all that stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Because,
if your screen is completely borked, something else I would consider doing is getting like a team viewer, and then you can remote into it. I've done that before when I have to send long texts or something, and I don't want to have to type it out on the phone. I'll just pull up TeamViewer and type it on my keyboard.
That's awesome. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so there's always that, but of course you have to be able to open the app in the first place.
It's a Samsung article about how they're building 7-nanometer chipsets, which I thought was really cool, but they're just they're using
get ready for it.
Well, no, they're able to do it now, but the way that they're doing it is they're basically just, instead of like writing once like the information, they just write it several times to the chip so that if it gets all boggled up in some cases, that's just expected, and they can compensate for it.
Wait, I'm confused. What do you mean?
Okay, so the problem so we've been building smaller and smaller chips, and now they're at the point where I think we can fit like several hundred in the width of a human hair. Maybe it's just 100.
No, but, it's several hundred, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so they're these really, really tiny little chips now. The problem is when you start getting down that low, you start approaching levels where quantum physics starts getting in the way.
Yeah.
You know a little bit about this?
Yeah, I've heard stuff like that.
Yeah, so what happens is basically, I don't want to go into it too much, but the position of electrons has some uncertainty in it. And technically, an electron can exist in one space, like it can exist mostly in one space, but then it'll exist partially in another space. So it can it doesn't vibrate. It actually exists in two places at once. But anyways, this property gets really, really it makes things act really funky at that level. And so when you have chips that close to each other, electrons will just jump to other chips,
which is bad.
Yeah, which is bad. They'll just start randomly jumping every once in a while. So in order to compensate for this, they're using a wavelength of I think 13.5 nanometers. Yeah, they're using a wavelength of ultra or like super ultraviolet. I think extreme ultraviolet is what they're calling it because it's extreme. Yeah,
it's just that cool.
Yeah, of 13.5 nanometers. And they're doing this funny process where they basically just like write the information a couple times so that if there is like jumping, that's just accounted for. And they just take like...
okay. So it's kind of like... That's interesting. An error correcting CPU then. Because you have that in RAM for the higher end applications. Usually it's like more of a premium feature that you pay for on the RAM and servers and stuff. Because I don't think it's really come to desktops yet. But that's... Interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's so weird though. But what kind of performance impacts would that have?
I don't know. I assume it's done fast enough to where it doesn't. Let me see. Your machines can be more expensive and technological issues have delayed high volume production, according to Samsung. I don't know. They're not talking much about it.
Are you sure they're not talking about the actual creation of the chip?
Samsung existing 10 nanometers are exposed to 193 nanometer wavelength light many times in a method called multi-patterning. Maybe I am talking about that.
Because when you talk about light, we're not using light in our CPUs, at least not yet.
That's why I was confused. Well, one second. Essentially, the same section of the die is written to several times. I really don't know. Let's see. But machines can use even more expensive delayed high volume production. I figured, okay, so it might just be talking about the process of making it, which still doesn't make much sense to me. But I mean, technically, light is just an electromagnetic wave, so maybe they're using nanometers to talk about the sending of signal. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't say I'm knowledgeable enough on this subject.
Sorry about that.
I don't make CPUs and chips in my spare time, so.
Well, well, as we start this podcast, I want to thank again Daniel Harper for telling me what little I know about quantum physics.
Wait, has he done that?
Oh, totally.
He'll just after the podcast he'll be like, dude, listen, this is what you need to know.
No. So we went to college together, and there was this, I think it was just one conversation we had where I was basically asking him, like, hey, listen, I kind of understand quantum physics, and I explained my understanding. I'm like, how am I wrong? And he was like, well, basically entirely. And he re-explained quantum physics to me, so I understood a little bit better. But the problem is quantum physics doesn't obey normal laws of physics. So like when I was talking about like electrons existing in two places at once, it does things that aren't supposed to happen. And so it's really, really difficult to understand because you want to try to draw, patterns and stuff like, like electricity, like, electricity flows through a wire, like water flows down a hill or something. Like it's easy to think of it like that. Yeah. But quantum physics, it requires you to completely, it's a whole different mindset you have to have. And so he helped me kind of build the foundation of that. And I built on it a little bit, but the basis of my knowledge all came from Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, that's a pretty decent opening. I'll take off the small phone thing, unless you want to bring it up again.
Nah, I think I'm good.
All right. So, Jake, how was Yosemite?
It was all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. It wasn't spring, so everything was pretty brown. All the meadows we went to. Pretty
lame.
Boring. Yeah, and a lot of the waterfalls weren't
stopped.
All that spectacular, considering there's no water falling.
Man,
like I know Yosemite's Falls was just completely dried up.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, Bridal Veil Falls thankfully still had a little bit.
Man,
Vernal Falls of course had some.
See, that's really that's annoying. So the last time I went, I think I told you, I went right at the end. It was like the first week of spring. Like it was right at the beginning of this thing where it's still super cold. The ice hasn't fully melted off. Like you can still see ice caps on the hills, even though it was like 90 degrees, like when we were driving there.
Yeah.
But it was super awesome because all the waterfalls were just gushing. So you come into the valley, and just the drive to get from like the gate into like the Yosemite Valley, there's just like 12 waterfalls all on like the side of the cars and stuff. And we could get out at all the little stops and go like get in the water for a minute and stuff and play around and then get back in and keep going. And
that's crazy.
It was awesome. Yeah, I'm so sorry. We got to go back. Like I've got to take you back there with your sister. We'll set up some kind of big trip and we'll get a whole bunch of people to go. But
yeah, because I definitely want to go in the spring sometime now.
Yeah, it's so magical, and nobody says no to that trip. Like, what's up?
Yeah, it's just annoying though because if you want to go anywhere other than the valley, the North Road might not even be opened when you want to go.
Yeah,
because it varies from like early May to like beginning of July some years.
Yeah, it just depends on like the snowfall and what the temperature's like and stuff, and yeah, it's really frustrating. Anyways, yeah, it'd be cool to like get a campsite. And I think you guys did this, like not a campsite near the valley, but a campsite out, like just around.
Yeah, we did Crane Flats, which is up next to the gas station.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it was great because I remember when we actually finally went down to the valley during the weekdays, and we were past it was like Lower Pines and Upper Pines, the main campgrounds where we would have stayed had we actually gotten a campground site there. I was like, this is not where I want to be. I actually preferred Crane Flats, even if the bathrooms were not quite as nice or something. It's just so many people.
Yeah, I don't know if I
and
mentioned.
people walking and just it was way too busy for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Yosemite's always like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I talked about it last time, but I really enjoyed my small little trip up to Sequoia National Forest. That was the first time I'd ever been up there.
Yeah, so I'm interested then because I didn't even know you had gone until until like you just mentioned it offhand, like, oh yeah, we went up there, and I'm like, wait, when did that happen? I've been saying it's a great place for so long now.
Yeah, so what happened? So I think well we so okay, so I made it a like an offhand comment to Emily like, "You know what? I haven't done anything this summer. It'd be really nice to go." And obviously we're not in summer anymore. But she was like, "Oh," she like took it to heart and was like, "All right, I've got to plan a trip. I've got to do this for Tim. We're going to go. We're going to do this." And then she started telling me she was planning it and I was like, "Oh, okay, I need to go for her." And so we were both trying to fit it into our schedule because she's still going to UCSD, and this was like right before. This was like the week before UCSD started. No, it wasn't even the week before. UCSD classes started Thursday, and we started on Monday. We did like Monday to Wednesday or something. Like we did it right before the semester started.
Yeah.
Um, and so she planned this trip to go up there, but I didn't realize that at the end of summer, nobody's going camping because all the class starts for all of the kids and stuff. And like they're doubly not going camping because it's cold, and they're triply not going camping because we went on a Monday, and nobody goes camping on a Monday. So it was amazing. There was no park ranger. He didn't. We went to a campsite that charged like $40 a night or something like that, and because it was on a lake, like there was our campground, and then like 100 feet up was the lake, and there was nobody there. Nobody charged us. Nobody cared. It was amazing and super quiet, and those trees are huge.
Oh
I
yeah.
had, I had no idea. I went up there and I was like, "Whoa, where on earth are we? This doesn't look normal."
I know it's
Yeah,
so weird though because having been there twice now, it's just so normal to me. I'm like, yeah, these trees are pretty. They're big ass trees, but yeah, whatever. It's normal.
yeah. It's fun going the first. It's something where I had this kind of feeling with Yosemite, and I'm sure you did too when you started seeing all the vistas over there. It was the feeling of like everybody needs to see this once in their lifetime because
Yeah.
they don't know what a big tree is. They think they might think they know. They don't know though.
Yeah, it helps put things into perspective a little more. Because
Yeah.
especially when you compare like maybe you see like a size comparison, like
Yeah.
maybe a jet, like a little picture on the internet, like a jet next to a sequoia next to like a skyscraper and stuff. It really
Yeah.
helps put like stuff like that into perspective a lot more.
Yeah.
And they're just cool. It's just a cool place. There's tons of good views, a lot of hikes. Actually, that was the one thing I liked about Sequoia more is
Yeah.
there are way better hikes.
Oh, really?
Yosemite, yeah, Yosemite, it's like you have either really easy or really, really hard hikes. There's not really many in between because we kept looking for them. There only are a couple moderate kind of hikes.
Yeah.
Sequoia though, there's tons of like 2-3 mile hikes that aren't too bad.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't know. It was cool. It was fun seeing I think the Hercules tree is the big one over there.
well, there's the General Sherman, and then there's the
Oh, I didn't see that one.
yeah.
I saw it.
There's two. There's like the biggest one by volume, and then there's the biggest one, the tallest tree.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah. So I don't know. It was fun just like being able to go there and like walk inside this tree that people had like converted into a shop for a while back like 100 years ago. And we like Emily just looked at me. She's like, "This is bigger than my 1 bedroom apartment. Like this is huge. Like I could live in here. I could there's where my bed could go. That's where my desk could go. And we're standing in this tree that's still alive.
Yeah, it's
And it's
crazy,
just
dude.
it's just that big.
Yeah, and there's just tons of trees like that around the park too. Like there's a loop we did, like a 7 mile loop.
Yeah.
It was nothing special, nothing really that cool to see. But there was a couple times, I think like once or twice, we just went straight through a tree, just
That's awesome.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Straight through. Yeah, the other thing I mean the campsite was cool too because those sequoias were right at or like there was one like 20 feet from our site. Like it was us then a giant 20 like us then a giant tree 20 feet away, and then the lake was right behind it. Like they were all over the place. But the other thing is that the campers have made the wildlife so docile
Yeah,
and like ready to come up to you. So we were sitting down in some chairs, and this chipmunk comes up and started like it stole a peanut and then ran away because there was like trail mix on the ground or something. And so Emily decided like what she's going to do is for the next 20 minutes, she was going to pour the trail mix into her hands and just hold it on the ground and see what happened. And this chipmunk comes up and it starts just stands on her hand, looks up at her and then looks down and starts grabbing some peanuts off and runs. And then it went and got a buddy, and then the buddy came up too, and she kept having these two chipmunks that were they were stuffing their cheeks, running to go store them, and then came back empty, and then filled up again, and then ran. It was awesome. Like she had so much fun with chipmunks eating out of her hand.
Oh, man. Yeah, same with like deer and stuff. One time we were driving around the little loop to get to our campsite, and there's just some deer in the middle of the road, and I'm like, okay, can I get by, please, dude? So I like had to kind of inch towards them, so they started finally wandering out of the way.
I love that. Yeah, I had that happen when I was up in Utah. The deer up there are the same way. They just don't care. Oh, yeah, whatever. It's a car. We have these. Oh, I want to mention before we go on, I took the M&Ms and stuff out of the trail mix. It was just peanuts that I was feeding them. Just so we're clear.
But remember, listening. Squirrels carry the plague.
Squirrels carry. Oh yeah, we got to kill them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Didn't you see all the signs in the national park?
I have been watching horror movies lately.
Yeah, what's that about? Because I know you said you don't really like them that much, and I don't either.
I don't. So these are interesting. You would like these two because we were okay. So the bigger picture of what's going on is that I have a big test but before I go into grad school, I've got to take like a biology GRE. And so I'm studying for that. And so every night I've just not wanted to do anything except just sit there and listen to something and watch something. And so I've been just looking for stuff to put on. And so I found a couple I've just been searching through Netflix with Emily to try to find something. And we started coming across all of these horror movies. And I don't like most horror. I think most of them are just kind of gross. I don't like how dreary they are. Like if they're shot in black and white, it's even worse. Like I just don't like looking at it. But there was a couple I found that the whole movie just took place in a forest, and you're just watching people walk through the forest. And then at some point, like people get killed or something. But I don't even care about that because it's just such a nice, peaceful movie to watch. So
very relaxing. Yes,
that was great. So I won't ruin them for you. But the first one was The Ritual on Netflix, which is pretty fun. It's a British horror movie where it's kind of a cool story too. So the story of the movie is that there's this guy and he has a whole bunch of, or there's this group of guy friends. And one night, two of them go into a supermarket to buy stuff. And some tweakers come in to rob the store and they end up killing his friend in the process. And so, and he watches the whole thing. And so he's horrified and shocked. And so he's trying to deal with that. And his friends are trying to forgive him for not doing anything at the same time. Because it's a big group of guys. And like, why didn't you stand up to them? Why didn't you do anything? So they go on this trip as like a way to say goodbye to their friend, but it ends up going horribly wrong along the way. But I don't know. It was a beautiful movie about like how he kind of came to accept what happened to his friend and not take on the blame for it and stuff. It was weird because it was a horror movie with a lot to say.
So like, it sounds like more like you're into a specific type of horror movie then.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't like things that make me scared. I just like watching people die, and like going on nice hikes in the woods. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the other one I just watched last night was The Endless, and I think this is a movie that came out last year. I'm not going to check it right now, but this was one I think you'll really like. This was really cool. So it's about two guys who were part of a cult. And they left it for several years. But then one of them wants to get some, closure on the whole thing. So he decides he wants to go back and just talk to them for a while and see what happens. And so the whole movie is kind of you peeling back the layers on this cult and starting to answer questions. Why are there weird things going on? Is this cult, worshiping a deity that's actually real, or is it not real? Or is it like, normal events that just seem weird? Or I don't know. It's weird. I don't think there was really any like, I don't know. It wasn't like a big slasher film. Like not many people died at all. Like it wasn't about that. It was strange because it didn't really feel like a horror, but it was still in that kind of genre. The cool thing was that it was done by how do I put this? I don't know. The director built a really good lore to the movie, and that lore carries on into the other movies that he's made. And so he's setting up his own little saga, and I'm really getting into it. So I'm really excited to watch the rest of what this director has to offer, because I don't know, it's a really cool story. So I kind of want to watch The Endless with you later, and get your take on it to it. Yeah, it's cool. It's really, really cool. I wish I could say more about it. I don't know. There's a lot of cool things that you'll like about the film, and interesting shots, because I know you like your interesting shots in movies.
Yeah, that is something I'm paying more attention to now.
I know. But yeah, so it's cool. So I've been getting into horror movies lately. I think I'll watch a couple more. I'm circling around it. I'm going to come back and watch Human Centipede 3 at some point.
You've seen the first two, right?
I've seen the first two, and they're torture porn. There's no other way to put it. It's torture porn. But it's I don't know. I like the idea behind them, because the idea behind them is more like, I don't know. They're not a horror movie and like trying to make you scared. It's a horror movie that asks the question, like, what's worse than death? Like, what's a thing that nobody wants to experience? Like, what's the worst thing that can happen to you? Like, let's forget dying and leaving like a sad family and daughter and stuff. You're like, no. What is the worst experience that somebody could have in life? And I don't know. I think that question's really interesting. So it's almost fun for me to watch, just to be like, oh, I can see what he's saying. I feel like I'm having a conversation with the director. But
that's interesting.
I don't know. But yeah, you got to have a strong stomach to watch it, though. I think one of my friends almost threw up when we watched the last one.
Ooh,
so it's
okay.
gotta.
Now I'm interested, because I've never seen it.
Yeah, a friend of mine, we were planning on watching it again. We were gonna do a challenge though, where we both have to eat ice cold breakfast burritos while we watch it, and the first one to throw up loses.
Oh my gosh.
It was a great idea, right? We never did it because it was horrible and that movie was bad. And I want to say the third one's even worse. But yeah, I don't know.
I wonder what you can do with a concept like that, and then make 3 movies out of it, and keep it original each movie.
Yeah. So do you know the story behind the first two? They're really cool. You'll like them. So the first movie is about an old Nazi scientist who wants to do an experiment by you know what human centipede is. But anyways, he's trying to make a human centipede out of these 3. I think it's 2 girls and a guy that he finds or something, and he like captures them and brings them to his house and stuff.
Yeah. I know the gist of it. So
yeah,
but the second not at all.
The second's cool. So the second movie is about a crazy guy who had watched the first movie and decides he could do that. And so he starts capturing people and putting them in I think he rents a warehouse and he starts keeping them in there. And so he chains up like 20 people. And one of them, it's funny, one of them is the actress from the first movie who plays the actress from the first movie in this movie. So he brings her in because he wants to meet the actress from that movie. And so she's like telling him about like what it was like. And, on the set, everyone was actually really sweet and it was all fake blood and stuff. And then he captures her and then he puts her in the human centipede. And I'm sorry if I ruin the human centipede for anybody, but honestly, you're not watching it for the plot. So I really don't care that much. I won't I didn't ruin the other 2 horror movies. Yeah, I didn't ruin the other 2 horror movies. Human centipede really doesn't have a leg to stand on. So I feel fine doing that. Anyways, the third one, I think it takes place in a prison. So basically what I'm trying to say is that the first movie, there's 3 people. The second movie, there's like 10 people. And I think there's like a 200-person chain in the third movie.
What is that even going to look like?
I think that, probably look up pictures. Hold on.
I don't know.
No, I think it was on the box.
Can't spoil it that much.
Human Centipede box art. I want to say it's on the box art. Human Centipede 2 has that. I forgot to say Human Centipede 3. I did not expect to talk about. Oh yeah, look at that. That's cool. You want to Google it, or do you want me to? Here, I'll just send this to you really quick.
Yeah,
I'm also not going to put this in the show notes.
Why not?
Here's just a Google search for it. I think the second picture is
the
box
what
art.
the heck?
Right? That's actually a pretty cool picture. It just looks like a rosary. Like, because it's like really zoomed out. It doesn't even look like
people.
Well, it's obviously stylized. It's the box art.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's a small picture too. But
yeah,
that's weird.
Anyways, yeah. So I want to come back and see it at some point, but I gotta wait for a day when I've got a really strong stomach, doing something else, and I don't know. What kind of mood do you need to be in to watch something like this? I don't even know.
I don't know.
All right, we need to stop talking about this. What little viewers we have, we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
All right, or what little listeners. Okay, tell me. All right, tell me about the big movie we both saw.
So we went and saw Venom in theaters the other day,
Yeah, we did.
and I went into it not even knowing anything about it. I had literally barely even like a couple weeks prior had even heard that it was a movie, and
I never heard of Venom. You never seen Venom. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, because I had never seen Spider-Man 3 of the original 2/3 good Spider-Man trilogy, and so I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know what to expect. But it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. I don't know.
Man, I thought it was awesome. What did you like about it? I'm curious.
It's hard to say. It just was it was just another Marvel movie, kind of.
It was fun, right?
It was mostly just fun, yeah. Like it wasn't except for the slow start. After that, it was pretty much it kept the pace up the whole time. But in terms of story and plot and writing and cinematography and all that, it was just pretty by the book and boring. So it's like nothing really stood out to me as even being above average or anything.
I can see that. I mean, what a lot of the Marvel okay, I think this is done better than most Marvel movies. Most of the movies they make don't do a good job at, framing the camera so that whatever you're looking at looks like it's right out of a comic book, like those really nice stylized artistic scenes that you see on box art on comics, or I guess on cover art for comics. I think that like Avengers 2 Age of Ultron had a couple scenes like this. I think I remember one or maybe two in the newest Avengers movie. But this one, the scenes with Venom, I remember counting at least like 4 scenes where they wanted to pose Venom in just the way he was like in the comics. So as far as cinematography goes, I will give it those points. There was at least 4 parts in there that were very memorable.
At least 4 parts in a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, at least 4 parts in a 2-hour movie. Yeah, every shot doesn't need to be super interesting. I get what you're saying, though. It wasn't, as far as like the technical aspect, it didn't push the boundaries of movie making at all.
I'm not even saying like that. It's just even for, like I say, in story and stuff, it was pretty forgettable.
Oh, I thought it was awesome. It was an alien from another planet who was a loser, and so he comes to Earth because he thinks he can be awesome there. He wants to be a big fish in a small pond. I thought that was cool.
No, that's not originally why he came there, though, because he...
Before we go on, can we have a small sidebar discussion on... Marvel movies they're not really spoilery, but I know that you get sensitive about that sometimes. I know.
I can, yeah. But yeah, and I think that we should probably say, spoiler alert.
I can do that
now that we said that, don't forget about the...
Yeah, Dumbledore dies in the end of it. And it turns out Venom was dead the whole time.
And Snape kills that other guy.
Snape kills that was Dumbledore, Jake.
Come on, man. I've only seen one of those movies.
2, actually. Just to clarify, I've seen 2 of those movies. And I plan on getting you to see the rest of them at some point. They get better as they go on, by the way. You'll like the rest of Harry Potter's. Yeah, no, I thought the dialogue was awesome. I thought it was a really, really fun time. And I feel like I'm getting to a place where I can separate like movies that I enjoy because of like the technical aspects and the story and all of that from just like fun times. Like when I go to see an action movie, like any Marvel movie now, I try as best I can not to look at it as a movie at all, because all I want to see is a spectacle. So I think of them more like fireworks shows. And so if it was a big enough fireworks show, I can usually say, oh, that was a good fireworks show.
Okay,
so
I can understand that.
Yeah, so as far as Venom goes, like as soon as the beginning was a little bit slow. But that was only like 20 minutes of the movie or something like that. I think it was about 20 minutes of runtime where like you don't know any of the characters, and it's just trying to introduce you to all the pieces and why they're in the spots that they're at. You start seeing Venom, and what happens? There's like a chase scene, and then there's a fight scene, and then another chase scene right after that, and it just like keeps going the entire time. And they do it in a way that's definitely not uninteresting. Like it's not I remember when I watched like the Transformers movies, like my eyes just continually glazed over because it was more just like I was watching the same explosion again and again and again. Like there was nothing that separated them at all. Venom does a good job at breaking it up, so you're interested the whole time. Like each scene's really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, it was a good time. I really enjoyed it for that. But yeah, it was. How about this? It was an okay movie, but it was a really good fireworks show. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Cool. I don't know what else I want to say on it really quick. The last song by Eminem was cool.
Yeah, and actually I checked afterwards, and it was off his new album originally. So
cool.
I don't know if it was made for that movie specifically or not. I don't think it actually was.
Maybe he just gave. Maybe like the studio approached him and asked him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I can do." Maybe I don't think the song actually. Let me look up the lyrics. I don't think it mentions even the word Venom at all. Maybe he got the call to give a song.
What are you talking about? Have you even listened to the song?
No. Well,
because the chorus is literally just like Venom.
No, I only listened to like 20 words when we were in the studio or when we were in the theater, but I didn't actually want
Okay, no,
to,
I guess it was actually written specifically for the film, but it was on his album. Yeah.
Is it on Kamikaze? Is that where it is?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. It is in Kamikaze.
I mean, it was definitely. I listened to his new album, and it was definitely like one of my favorite. Actually, yeah, it was my favorite song off of his new album.
Salad bowl, Edgar Allan Poe, liquid Tylenol, gelatins. Thinks my skeleton's melting. Where's the lyrics?
No, I just feel like it had the similar energy to his old hits.
That makes sense. Stuff. I don't know what else to say about it though. The movie.
I mean, that's pretty much all you can say.
No, you know, I can say a little bit more. First of all, Tom Hardy does a really good job depicting what's his name? I think it's Eddie something.
Yeah, Eddie something.
Eddie Brock? Eddie Brock, yeah. He has a really, really good Eddie Brock in the movie. I thought he did the whole character super well and everything. He wasn't like he is disgruntled. He's disgruntled, but he's not like super angry throughout the whole movie. He's pretty fun to watch. You don't mind when he's on screen. And his interactions with Venom are really awesome. Venom is a total, and I like that they did this with him. Venom's a total comedic character in the movie. It was kind of dark. It was like a horror comedy almost, because you know Venom's this terrifying figure that just wants to kill everyone because he's so hungry and he just wants to eat them. But he's a really, really funny guy, and I don't know, him and Eddie Brock's stuff going back and forth that was my absolute favorite part of the movie. If they just cut out every fight scene and it was just like a clip show for 20 minutes, maybe I'll watch the YouTube video. I'm sure they've done it of just like all the quips back and forth from Eddie Brock and Venom. I'd love that just as much.
Yeah. Something interesting. Apparently, in an interview, Tom Hardy. Yes, that guy said that that his favorite scenes of the movie were actually cut. So, and I think
really?
he said there's like a good 30 or 40 minutes of stuff that was cut, and like most of it was his favorite stuff. So I'm very interested to know what they cut and if it'll show up on extras on DVD later.
On the DVD, yeah.
And then also something else that I realized later is that it was a PG-13 movie, and so I don't.
They could have done much more.
Yeah, they didn't really like all the biting people's heads off and stuff was done off.
No blood.
Yeah, it was done off camera. You didn't actually get to see any of it.
I think a couple times, I want to say a couple of people get stabbed, but even at the stabbing, like you just see
it's still a PG-13 movie though. Like,
yeah, there's no blood. It's
no Deadpool, that's for sure.
It's definitely no Deadpool. You know, it kind of worked for it though, because I think the not showing the blood made it feel more ridiculous. And so when they made a joke like right after someone was murdered, it didn't feel out of place. I wonder if that was a conscious decision they made just because it made it funnier. You know what I mean? I mean, it didn't take away from Deadpool now that I think about it, but I wonder if like Venom is all about like ripping people apart and like going into them and stuff. I wonder if that just wouldn't have worked as well, like with comedy bits on top of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if they shot two versions. That would be cool.
Yeah, they probably didn't. But... Maybe a director's, what is it? Director's cut later.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I think Venom, if I'm going to make a movie about a character like this, I would have made it rated R. So I wonder if they shot it rated R and then reshot some of the stuff in a PG-13 sense,
Because
depending on what they wanted.
isn't it by Fox as well too?
I think Sony did it. I'm sure it was a group of people that did it.
I'm pretty sure
Who
it
paid?
was Fox owns the rights to
Who paid
Venom.
for the Venom movie?
Sony,
Rights
yeah.
to Venom. Sony did it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's too bad too bad. Well, it had the Marvel logo in front of it though.
Oh yeah, no, it did.
Yeah,
But
beginning of the movie.
but I mean, Sony also owns Spider-Man, and yet he was in the latest of the
Latest
Avengers.
Avengers.
So
Yeah.
I mean, finally.
Does Sony own Spider-Man? Are you sure that's not Warner Bros? Oh, it must be Sony.
Yeah, no, it's Sony. It's either because it's either Fox or Sony who owns all the other Marvel IP, or at least has
I'm
rights
trying
to
to
it.
think. I'm trying to think if they left any opening to where it could be brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe later. I think they could technically. It might be a little bit rough, but they could probably do that.
They could.
Because the whole movie revolved around an organization. It wasn't even was it a company? I don't even think it was a company. The movie revolved around like an evil corporation or organization.
No, just mostly the leader of it, the billionaire kind of Elon Musk type guy. And the part that actually that gets me is supposedly this guy's at the cutting edge of pharmaceuticals, and he's a billionaire, and he's young and attractive and all that, and yet there's not even like one mention of like Tony Stark or something. So it doesn't seem like they're really trying to include it in the same universe in the first place.
Well, my bet is that they shot. Well, I mean, I'm absolutely positive for this. They made sure to intentionally not put it in the universe. But I'm wondering if there's anything that like makes sure that it cannot be in the universe later.
No, there's
sense?
definitely no way that they couldn't just be like, oh yeah, actually this company exists in the same world, and hey, look, here's Venom, here's Spider-Man together, and there's Thanos in the background.
Yeah, Deadpool's pretty specifically not part of the cinematic universe. I think it would be a very, very hard push.
He's a part of the X-Men's universe, yeah.
Yeah, and they did a good job, or they did an okay job. I mean, they made jokes about that whole thing, but yeah, I wonder if they're gonna definitely try to keep Venom separate, or if they want to bring him in at some point.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, it depends on what they're gonna be doing after Avengers 4 and such.
Well, I know that Tom Holland let slip that there is definitely more Spider-Man movies coming out.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in an interview and he started what did he say? I think he referred to the last movie he worked on as Spider-Man 1. And then like the whole crowd that he was in front of and everything started giving him a lot of like jeers and stuff, and so he let out. He's like, "Hey, yeah, there's another one they're working on, whatever."
He's like, "Whatever."
He's so bad in interviews. I love it.
Oh yeah, the guy who plays okay.
Tom Holland.
For some reason, I was thinking of
that.
the brothers who made like the Avengers 3 and stuff, but
no.
Yeah, he's so bad
at it. Okay, before we break the first time, tell me about your 3D printing.
Just a couple things. I can't remember if I mentioned my floppy rocket because I left it out in the sun, and so that was 48 hours of printing wasted. Printed another one. Had it all, but it turns out there was a problem with the printing of one half, so it broke, and I need to find a way to put that back together. I'm still not sure how I'm going to do that. Let's see. I know I sent you a picture of this, but I printed a case for one of my keyboards.
Is that the one you posted on Instagram too?
Yes.
All right.
And oh man, it's so nice though, dude, because it saved me. I really wanted to get a case for it, but I didn't want to pay like $70 for it.
Wait, you made a case and a mount? I only saw the mount. Let me check your Instagram.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I mean, I can send you a picture right now. I printed some more mounts so I can put my other keyboards up.
Keep talking about it, and I'll find it.
Yeah. I really like it. I might print it again with a couple modifications, but other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. And the cool thing is I can actually. Yeah. So if you look at the picture, it's the white like border on the bottom of it.
Oh, I see. Okay. So for everyone listening, what I'm looking at right now is a very simple plastic wall rack that Jake's made. It's just like two sticks coming out holding the I mean, it's more than 2 sticks, but they're
It's
two
very
mounts
stylistic,
that are just
yes.
yeah. It just holds a keyboard, and then under the keyboard is a white what do you call it? A mount or a
A
box?
case.
A case.
Because you
Okay.
have like
So
you have the PCB that holds the switches and the keycaps, and then you have the
yeah.
case that goes around that.
How tall is that bottom case? Because it's not coming up over the keyboard. It's just like a half
No,
inch.
so that's actually
or
one
something.
of the reasons I wanted a new case is because the old one came up to just slightly above the bottom of the keycaps, but with this one you
Gotcha.
get much more of a floating keycap look because you can see underneath them, which is what I really wanted.
That makes
It's
sense.
still
Yeah.
it's a pretty short case, but I might print one that's slightly higher because I don't quite like how low it is. It's a little too low, so
I might I don't know. I might stick a picture of that in the show notes. You know, the one thing I don't like about smartwatches, and they all do this, every single one I've had does this, they're all a little bit condescending.
I don't know where this came
because
from, but we can roll with it, I guess.
no, you'll understand in a second. They're all a little bit condescending because most things that you do now, whether it's playing a game or watching a movie or going to work, like all of these things require you to sit down for long periods of time. And I don't mean like 8 hours, I mean like 2 hours. But every smartwatch I've had, it always it vibrates, and every time you look at it, it says, "Great job, you just moved." After like every 2 hour period of just sitting down for a little while, and it makes you feel terrible about your day every single time, and it makes you think the watch is just a little condescending jerk because he brings up how you haven't been moving in this period of time, and it just makes you feel terrible about yourself. So that's my one complaint from every smartwatch I've ever owned.
I, surely you can turn that off, right?
I don't know how. I wish I knew. I don't see anything about it. I'll check the settings later. It doesn't. I don't know. It's just something I always forget about that it happens.
Part of it, or
maybe. I don't know. I'll check it later. But yeah, it's just oh man, every single one I've had does this. All the Fitbits have done it. All of the Samsung ones have done it.
That's ridiculous.
I had it happen. You know, I
and
think
here you
Pebble
are trying
didn't do
to
it.
get me to get a smartwatch. That's just another reason why I don't need one.
Oh, dude, they're incredible. We won't go into it because we already have too much stuff to talk about. But I'm loving the new Galaxy Watch. Well, maybe on the next video I'll go into it. Actually, did I tell you? I'll mention this really quick. I got the new Fitbit Versa. I think I mentioned that on an earlier podcast, right? I got the new Fitbit Versa a month or two ago. Do you remember mentioning that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after a week, I sold it because I hated it.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Well, I didn't hate it, but it just didn't do what I wanted it to. But I flipped it out for the Galaxy Watch, and man, this thing's incredible. Love it. I haven't charged this thing in like 3 days. I just sleep with it.
Still don't know where that came from. Oh, is it because of when you got up to get the water?
I just got up and got
and
water.
Told you, good job, you're getting water.
You moved. Yeah, good job on moving your butt for once in your life. I'm like, geez, dude, come on.
Give me a break.
Yeah, seriously. I'm trying to do something. Okay, so I put on this list. Oh, man, that's annoying. My chickens outside are pecking the house because they like the taste of paint. I can hear it. And every time I stop them, they just do it again because they're too stupid to realize that I don't want them to.
Yeah, that sounds like a chicken.
Yeah, there's games coming out or are out that there's things in the back of my mind that are happening with them, but I didn't want to talk about them much because I haven't really had time to look into it. Black Ops came out. Black Ops 4. It seems really good. It's been getting really good reviews and everything. Apparently there's a guy in the game who helps you through the tutorials. His name's Frank Woods. He apparently has some really good one-liners and some really bad ones. Apparently Black Ops uses the term lit AF during the game.
That's pretty bad.
So if you want, that's pretty bad.
That's really bad.
Yeah. But beyond that, everything seems good. The blackout mode is, again, like everyone's favorite. It's freaking awesome. And the other modes seem really cool. I'm really excited about that one. And eventually I do want to try it, but I don't want to buy it because it's Black Ops and I'm not going to spend much time with it. A lot of stuff has been happening with Red Dead 2. A couple small game shops were told that they're not going to get the game until November, it's not a huge delay because I think it's supposed to come out in 2 weeks, but this would put it off for another couple weeks. But that's we've been getting small reports about that. I know they've been releasing more videos, trying to hype the game more.
So are you saying that
What's up?
some shops are going to get the game physically later, even though it's already been released to other ones? Or
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know if they're gearing up to have a small delay in when the game comes out, just to maybe it's just to like meet production. That'd be my guess, because the game I'm sure is finished at this point. I don't know if it's whether they're doing that or whether maybe they just don't have enough copies to go around, and they're just saying that small game shops need to are just gonna have to wait a little while before they get theirs. I really
that's
don't
what
know.
it sounds like when you describe it that way.
Yeah. Where's that article? Because I had that. Independent game stores reportedly won't get Red Dead 2 until November. This is from IGN. A number of independently owned game stores aren't expecting to receive copies of Red Dead until November. Oh my gosh. It's a video. Don't turn on the video. Okay, there we go. Man, I hate these pop-ups on IGN.
Or just about any site.
Yeah, let's see. As well as Gamefly, don't believe they'll get copies of the game on its release date of October 26th. Like major retailers, including GameStop, Best Buy, and more, are expecting to receive. So it does sound, according to this IGN article, it does sound like the larger retailers will get the game first.
That's weird.
And then everyone else will get it, a week later. So that might be production, or maybe GameStop and Best Buy are strong arming them.
That's just
getting their
so
inventory.
Weird, though.
Yeah, it is. That's kind of a jerk move. That's their livelihood. Those little game shops. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well. So anyways, that's been going on in the Red Dead periphery. And Red Dead's been seeming cooler and cooler. They've been releasing good stuff about it. Still not coming out on PC, but we'll keep going.
Yeah, we'll not talk about that.
Yeah. Fallout 76 is coming out pretty soon. What is that coming out? Like another 2 weeks?
I don't even know. I haven't been following big games like that. So.
Oh, October 23rd. What?
That's in 5 days? What?
That's according to Wikipedia. Let me
double
October 23rd, 2018. Oh my goodness. Is that just for the beta maybe? Because the beta would be on right now if that's...
Was there going to be a beta?
Let's see. On GameSpots, it's currently scheduled to release November 14th. There we go.
Okay, so the beta's coming out.
Okay, that's much better. Beta's coming out.
I didn't even know there was going to be
in
a
5
beta.
days. Yeah, there's one for everyone who pre-ordered the game.
Okay. So,
see, funny thing is, I have it pre-ordered, but I don't want to play the beta, and neither do my friends. They
So let me ask you this then: why did you pre-order it if you're not even going to use the supposed bonus you get?
So I pre-ordered it because I want to make sure that I have a copy day one, because I know that a couple of my friends will.
The physical copy, though?
That was the only reason.
Yeah, because you're getting it for PS4.
Yes, and I don't want to have the big download for it. So
you still will, because there'll be day one patches all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyways, no, I've pretty much completely folded to the pre-order stuff. I understand that you don't want to, not you in particular, just like people in general. It's a bad idea to start buying products before you know exactly what they're going to be, because you may not like them. So I don't want to do that with any company that I don't know anything about. Like No Man's Sky, I will forever see as an omen that is a thing that you just don't want to do, because sometimes the product just isn't finished, and it's terrible that they would release something like that. Like I understand with No Man's Sky there was pressure from Sony and stuff, which I kind of blame Sony more than anything for.
Definitely.
But like with games like Cyberpunk, where the company has a good track record of that kind of stuff, and if there's any reason beyond that to get it, I really don't mind it. So there's a couple that I have pre-ordered right now. I have that one pre-ordered. I did have Red Dead pre-ordered, but I'm going to cancel that one.
Why is that?
Because I'm already thinking in the back of my head, I might get a second copy of Fallout 76. That might happen.
Why?
Well, because you don't have a PS4, and most of my PC friends do not have PS4s. But I have a lot of PS4 friends that want to play this game as well. So I know that that a couple of Corey's friends were talking about getting it. If they can convince Corey to get it, and if you end up liking Fallout 76 and getting it, then I'll have to get it on there to play it with you guys. Again, like when I think about games,
I thought you were talking about getting 2 copies for the PS4.
Oh,
okay.
no, sorry.
I was like, I didn't know you had that
No.
in PS4s, man.
Actually, that might happen too. We'll see. So Emily has a PS4, and it's possible. I think it's highly unlikely that she'll like this game enough to want to get it. The fact that it's an online game would mean that we could both play it together. So that would be a good reason to get it for both PS4s. But I don't think that'll happen. The only reason is so I can play it with all of my friends instead of just some of them. So so yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I don't see you getting Fallout 76 anytime soon.
Honestly though,
and if you do,
since I've been playing a lot more with Corey's friends and stuff lately, I might, just because I've really been enjoying playing games with a lot more people.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I might.
Yeah, it's in the realm of possibility. And if not now, it'll probably happen in a year or two. I could see that easily happening. If it, has a nice price drop, you find a very good sale.
Well, actually, speaking of Fallout games, this morning I woke up and I checked my emails on my phone, and Fallout 4 was like $13 on sale.
You got it?
I didn't, but I realized, wow, here I was just talking to someone else last night about how, I have like over 400 games and I don't want to play any of them.
Yep.
Even though I want to play video games right now. And I'm like, I shouldn't buy more games anytime soon. And then here I am the very next day waking up thinking, man, I kind of want to play Fallout 4. even though I played New Vegas or 3 or something, whichever one didn't crash on me.
Yeah.
I played I got out of the vault, started wandering around, and I realized this is kind of boring. I didn't play it.
Yeah. So,
and then here I am wanting to buy Fallout 4 for whatever reason.
I'd recommend you don't do that. Wait, you can do that, but I would at least watch a couple of videos first, just to
So I know I won't like it now, and I got over my impulse. But the only reason I really was thinking about it is because I know it has kind of a base building to it, and that's what I really wanted to try out for. I guess that's just like what I really needed. Okay, I needed to find a game that was better for that.
Well, all right. So a couple things you should. First of all, Fallout 4 was not one of the best ones. I think actually, and this might turn you off to it more. New Vegas, I think, is hyped as like the best Fallout of the series so far. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's talked about as the best one.
I think it was by a different company, right? Obsidian Entertainment.
It was, but it was still looked at as like the absolute best. Fallout 76 is going to have that base building stuff, and hopefully it's better because it was kind of broken in Fallout 4.
And I think it's going to be more important if it's going to be an online game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so there's definitely reasons why I think you should look into getting Fallout 76, because if you really want that soon, and Corey's friends are going to get it, and that I will get it if you get it, there's the beta starts in 5 days, and we could be playing it in 5 days if you wanted to. But yeah, Fallout 4, I really didn't like that game. Oh, here's another thing. That game broke on my PC. I could not finish it. I think I got through 20 minutes on PC in Fallout 4. And then I got into I hit a quest line that occurs inside of a building, and I had to type something in on one of the consoles, and it was either that the console didn't work or it was stuck in some loop. And so I had to get out of the game and go check it online, and nobody had a fix for it. They're just saying, you shouldn't probably do that quest line because it breaks your save. And then I couldn't. It was a main story quest too. I could not advance in the story.
So, but are you sure they haven't fixed it by now?
They probably
they
probably have
fixed that.
But I wasn't enjoying it enough to go back to it. The reason you will,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and you have Skyrim on PC? You do, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So that the fun of a Bethesda game is that you can kind of get into it, go into the console commands when you get bored, and just start screwing around.
Yes, but I haven't done that with Skyrim yet.
What? How have you not done that with Skyrim?
Because I never felt like I got far enough in the game to justify it, because I didn't want to taint my save,
Oh, man. Well, no, you don't do it on your normals. You make a second save, and you screw that one up. Yeah.
But even still, I wanted to play more of the game normally.
No, that makes sense.
It's the same way with mods, too. I don't like modding the game until like maybe my second playthrough.
Hold on. How much Skyrim have you played?
Only like 40 hours. I haven't played that much.
Well, have you finished the main story?
No.
Huh? All right. Cool.
So I never played it like that much. Oh, I guess 52 hours.
Okay. I know. It's funny because Skyrim with I think this is like this with most of the Bethesda actually it's kind of like this with all the Bethesda games. The main story is never that interesting. And I feel kind of bad about that because they have really good side quests in a lot of those games, especially Skyrim. Yeah. Like the Brotherhood stuff was great. The Thieves Guild stuff was I think the Thieves Guild was the strongest quest in the whole game.
So Actually, real quick, I just remembered. Speaking of Skyrim main story quest,
Yeah.
I actually had it spoiled for me. I did. It was so funny because I was watching at the latest AGDQ, I think, or it was a speed run for it, and I guess apparently at the top of the mountain, the master graybeard or whatever is a dragon.
Yeah.
I had no idea, and I'm like, oh man, well I can't go back now.
It's been
now
8
I actually
years.
don't. I know it's been so long, dude.
Might as
But
well use console commands now.
But at the same time, I'm like, man, I really don't want to go play it. Like, I kind of ruined it.
That's fair. I get that. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So for Fallout, I did that with Fallout 4 just because I really didn't like the main. I'm trying to figure out how far I got. I want to say because I got through a good amount on the PS4 version, and then I think I found it for super cheap, like you did on Steam. But I think I got through a good like 30 hours of the game. I hit some point where I just didn't want to finish it. I think there might have been like a skill check where like you had to be a certain something in order to advance in the main story, and it just totally turned me off to it completely. And so I tried to up my level by farming, and there's some decent places to farm and stuff. But then after you farm in a game, it's really hard to get back into it if it's not interesting, because you've already spent so long in like the boring part. Why are we talking about this?
Yeah, that's pretty bad though, because for a lot of games, I find usually if you do all the side quests, you're over leveled for the main storyline.
Yeah,
which I know was a problem in like Borderlands 2 or the Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you were like I wanted to make sure I was able to do all the side quests because I was really enjoying the game.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the side quests. And so I wanted to make sure that before I completed this main storyline, I did all the side quests. And the next thing I know, I'm like 6 levels ahead of the main storyline.
Yeah.
And it's super easy.
Yeah. Witcher was a great example of how they did that well. Because in Witcher, I mean, the main story wasn't bad. It was actually quite good. It wasn't nearly as good as some of the side quests. Like I don't think anything came into comparison with some of those side quests. Like I think the Baron one, oh, that wasn't a side quest, was it? I think part of it
was main. It was part of the main story.
I think it's main, but then like there's a part of it that you don't have to do. Anyways, that whole thing was just incredible. Speaking of which, actually, I don't think I ever mentioned this. There's very, very different ways that quest can go. Did you ever like meet the Lubberkin during that quest?
I don't know if I did.
Oh my god! Like the what happened? Can you? No, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to spoil it because that's always a fantastic one. There's very many ways it can go. I think I've done that quest twice, and I did it super different both times. And that quest can go two very different ways.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wish I could remember more, but I actually, since I was reading the books, I actually read the story that was based on.
Yeah, was it good?
It was good, yeah, but they just did such a good job in the game.
They did a great job in the game. I mean that writing team was fantastic that they got to do that.
Obligatory Cyberpunk 2077 mention.
You excited about it?
Oh yeah.
I had a question about Witcher. This came up earlier today. So Geralt throughout the game this will be a really quick sidebar because we still have a lot of this podcast to do. Geralt uses 2 swords throughout the game. There's the normal sword and the silver sword. And he uses the silver sword for monsters and stuff, and then when he's not fighting a monster, he'll switch back to just the normal sword when it's people.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he just carry a silver sword? And is that ever addressed in the game? The only thing I don't think
so. And it might be addressed in the books, but I haven't read them all. And the only reason I could think of is because
wear on the sword.
Maybe silver. Yeah, it might wear faster. Like you need to save it for the monsters.
Yeah, that's okay. That's the one reason I could think of. But I was thinking, like, is there any reason, like, does silver not do funny things? Like, can you accidentally poison people if, like, monster blood is on it or something? He doesn't want to do that. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. It was an interesting question. I'm like, what? They're very specific about it, and you have a button in the game to switch swords whenever you want to, even though that's not ever used at all. I don't think ever. But
there are sometimes when you have bandits and you have monsters to fight.
I guess that can happen every once in a while, but it's a pretty specific issue that doesn't normally occur. What were we talking about? We had 2 more games. Sekiro. I'm super excited for. I've been watching all of the all of the stuff for it. This one comes out in March, so it's still a little bit far out, but I'm super excited about it. The mechanics they have for it are incredible. I put it on here because I've been talking about it a lot today, and well, not a whole lot, but I was watching a couple of videos and talking to Emily while I was doing it, and I don't know. A lot of the systems are just really cool. There's a stealth mechanic that they're trying to add into it, and that's supposed to kind of help out with the.
Hopefully that goes well.
I don't think so. What I don't think this is supposed. I don't think it's supposed to be a full you can approach this mission either by using stealth or by using by just using your sword and your bare hands and stuff. I think it's more.
And then it turns out stealth is just like hiding around a corner and pressing X when they come around or something.
So I was worried about that. I was worried that they were going to use the stealth mechanic like that. What I think they're doing is, one of the big parts of Bloodborne and Dark Souls, and you probably heard me talk about this at some point, is that they hide the story in like little things that NPCs do when like you're not fighting them, when they're just going about their day, and they hide it in all of the weapon descriptions and stuff. I think what they're going to do with the stealth is use it as a tool that people can use if they want to kind of stalk characters and look at different actions they're doing throughout the world to try to piece together the story better. And maybe to gain an advantage in battle, like maybe watching them and seeing like, if they're shy from fire, like if they won't go near fire, so you'll know that you can use fire against them. But I think they're using it in that kind of sense.
I hope so. I'm still pretty about the game, so we'll see.
The one
maybe you can show. I can come over and watch you play or try it out or whatever when it comes out, and then we'll see.
No, I don't want to do that. I just want to have you borrow a copy of Bloodborne at some point. Whenever your sister gets her PS4, I'll give you a copy of Bloodborne to try for a while, because that's one that I think you'll really get into. That's the one that got me into the games. I didn't actually really enjoy the first couple Dark Souls or Demon Souls. Like I played them and I liked them, but I never got far at all. But then Bloodborne was where like that flip was switched, and I was like, all right, this game works. Like I really love what they're doing with this. I think you'll get that too, because it's not medieval. It's like set like you have a gun in the game, and it's a lot of fast movements and stuff, and it's a lot more skill based. Well, they're all skill based, but like it's more apparent that it's skill based.
All I got out of that
is
that you said, and that's what switched the flip.
Flipped the switch. Flipped the switch.
Sorry, that just stood out to me for whatever reason.
Sorry about that. I don't know. My mind just never mind. Last one to mention really quick. Reigns Game of Thrones just came out. This is an
Reigns
iPhone.
Reigns is a card game, right?
Reigns is an iPhone and Android game that it's not a card game in that sense of the word, but it uses cards in an RPG sense. I don't really know how. Okay, so what the game is it's a game where the whole game is based on binary choices. So what you can do is the whole game is you see a picture in front of you that looks like a card, and you can either swipe left or right to make the card go left or right, and it'll tell you what the responses that'll give. So it'll either be a yes or a no. I hate that, or I don't hate that. I'll give you money, or I won't give you money. But Reigns does a super good job at this. At like you have an inventory system, you have NPCs that you meet and you interact with and stuff. There's hidden Easter eggs throughout the whole game. It uses those binary choices for you to be able to make a whole bunch of really complex decisions in just like a matter of several swipes to make those decisions. But it's really, really good, and all of your decisions have a lot of weight to them. And I don't know, it's really cool. And there's a management system and stuff. It's kind of a manager game. There's a lot going on in it. It's a really, really cool iPhone game. I think the first one's free now if you want to try it out. Could be wrong about that. I'll check it later. Anyways, I bought it 5 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
I've been waiting for it for a while. The new one is Reigns Game of Thrones, and so they made a deal.
So of course you made it.
Yeah, they made a deal. They made a deal with HBO to make it, and I've been waiting for it for a while. I had no idea it was released. I was just looking up articles, and I was like, oh, hey, this came out. Yeah. I want to skip Spider-Man for a minute because I've been talking for a while, and I'd prefer if you talked for a bit.
Is there much to say about GTA Online?
I mean,
because all I want to say about GTA Online here is that game is ridiculously overcomplicated if you just want to have some fun.
Oh my gosh, it takes forever.
It's like, but I get what you were saying when you said you bought it. You said it scratches that MMO itch I've been having, and I understand that because it's just so complex. And the like, you want to own an apartment, you can own an apartment. You want to own a business, you can own a business. Get your car insurance, and then go to a garage and trick out your rims, and then do a heist on a grocery store. Like there's tons to do.
But is it worth it?
I understand, and I understand that that's going to make for a complicated game. But I feel like something about like they almost make it too complicated.
So I don't have a problem with that. My problem with it is it shoots itself in the foot by how ridiculous it is just to get the whole thing up and running properly.
Oh yeah,
it takes forever to. What's up?
Yeah, and then not to mention the fact, maybe we want to do heists, which, as far as I know, are like more level-based missions.
Yeah.
As opposed to like open world roaming, but you have to play just like mini games and stuff and able to get enough money to get your high-end apartment, so then you can actually host a heist. And then you also need to be a certain level. Like you're literally preventing me from playing the part of your game I want to play.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know, the whole process of just getting the game going in the first place, the idea that you have to exit the game or exit the session before you can actually join someone's like guild.
Like the fact that it takes hours just to load the game in and switch sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just a big turnoff when I started it, and I had a VPN on accidentally. And I loaded up the game, and I was all going fine. But then I'm like, oh, I want to change my resolution settings. So I switched it and it said, oh, you need to restart the game before this will go into effect. And so I restarted
3 minutes later.
And then 3 minutes later. And then after all of that's done, and then I've reloaded into the game, it informs me, you know what? You've been you just changed your IPS. Is it IPS? I think that's the correct word. IP. You changed your IP, so you can't come into the game for another 15 minutes. Sorry, you just gotta wait for a little while. It was just ridiculous, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This is crazy. And I wouldn't have minded that. I get why they would do that. I understand there's security issues and stuff that they're worried about with their servers, but I also I just couldn't believe I had to wait so long to load that stupid game twice.
Yeah.
And how long were it was at least 5 minutes. You're waiting at least 5 minutes with screens, if not 10.
It can be close to 5 minutes.
Yeah. And that's just to join one session. God forbid you have to switch sessions because your friend is in another session.
Yeah. And like when we were playing, we'd play those game modes and then we'd quit, and it would put us all in separate sessions too.
Yeah.
And then we had to join, and then so we wait for that to load just so we can go and leave that one and join another session.
Yeah.
Thanks. Now I have to wait even longer.
It just made no sense. Oh yeah. And then when you join a mini game, even if because with us, there's 3 of us and then there were 3 other people in the whole thing. It forced us to be on different teams for some reason.
And it forced us to use their their lobby as well. We couldn't do our own lobby if we wanted to.
Yeah, nothing in that stupid game made sense. So I don't understand it. I wonder if, I don't know, maybe there's a video where someone can explain more of like, this is why they made this decision, this is why you're doing this. But it seems ridiculous.
I'm sure if I put enough time into it, we could understand a lot more of the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
But why should I have to put that much time into it to understand it?
Yeah. Okay. I'll tackle Project Stream next.
I have no idea what that is.
So Project Stream is the project that Google has been working on under wraps for a while.
Oh yeah.
This is where it was hinted at a while ago, and I think I even mentioned it in the podcast or in a previous podcast, that they were trying to do something where you could play full games in your Chrome browser, which, streaming has been done before, but that simple of a thing without using a different program to get into a different server and stuff, without all of that garbage, like it's never been done like this before. So they released a beta, and I got into that beta, and they gave me a free copy of Assassin's Creed Odyssey to play in that beta, but my internet isn't good enough to get in, and so now I have a copy of Assassin's Creed Odyssey that I cannot play because the server check that I ran on my own computer to check how strong my internet was lied to me apparently, and Google gets different results than I do. So I'm a little bit cheesed about that whole thing.
So, okay, but does Google tell you what your results are?
Yeah, absolutely. You need in order to play a 15 megabit per second or download speed. And I previously did a check. What's that website that everyone uses to check their internet speed?
Speedtest.net usually.
Yeah. So I checked it on there, and it said I have 16 megabits per second. So I went to load it, and apparently, according to Google, I only get 10 megabits per second. So either I'm being screwed or someone's lying to me. Because
that makes no sense though. Because
no,
I
it
know
doesn't.
you've gotten more than 10. I've gone to your house and downloaded stuff at up to 50 megabits a second.
Yes, absolutely. I don't get it, but I'm not allowed to play the game.
Have you tried doing it again? Because sometimes you could just have a bad day.
Yeah,
like
it's
your
true.
Provider is just like, nope, not having it.
I'll try once we finish this to see if I can get it going. Anyways, it was
yeah.
really
and also
maddening.
do be careful about speed tests, is because a lot of times providers will like use like just be like, oh yeah, give them the best speeds that they can while on that site or something.
Yeah,
just to make themselves look better.
Yeah, so I'm worried about that happening too, just because I don't know. So, anyways, I've been really frustrated because now I own a copy of a $60 game that I did not pay for, and I've been wanting to try it because I've been looking at some reviews and people have been saying like, listen, like you don't notice the latency, like the latencies as much as like it's not bad at all. It's really 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 good latency. I think it's like,
well, you should just give me your account then, because I have like 40 megabit internet.
I thought about that and I was going to either give it to you or one of the guys that we usually play with. The problem is that code got linked to my Gmail, so I can know I didn't know that I couldn't play it until after I was in. And I wasn't able to find all of that out until I used my key to get into the game. So it's now permanently linked to my personal Gmail account.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, it's okay. You can just sign into that on my computer. Don't worry.
Yeah, so it's really frustrating, but hopefully I'll get to try that later. At the very least, I'm going to go over to the Sharps at some point, and I'm just like, listen,
and try his gigabit internet.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, listen, I'm going to hang out in your kitchen. I just need to let me just try this thing for 20 minutes, just so I can do a review on a podcast that I do.
Oh, actually, speaking of the internet, I need to get him to give me link me a speed test of his.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see. I'm curious. Okay, so I want to talk about. What's that?
Should I just post that in like Vape Nation or something?
He'd never check it. You have to either text. He's been getting better at texting. I would just wait till.
I don't have his number. I mean, on Discord.
I would just ask him once you're listening or looking at him watching anime. Like if he's watching anime, he'll talk to you about anything.
Well, I don't know when that'll be.
Oh, it's like every day. Anyways, Spider-Man. I want to talk about Spider-Man.
I thought you said you wanted to skip that one.
I wanted to skip it because I was talking too much about the upcoming games, but I've had a break.
Okay.
Ready to talk about it a bit. Let's see, Spider-Man. So I have a lot to say about this, but I've forgotten most of it because it's been so long. I bought Marvel Spider-Man day one. I was really excited about this game. I'm sorry I never mentioned it on here. I really should have. I've almost 100% of the game. I'm really, really close to it. Like this has been
impressive.
Yeah, this is a big thing that's been going on in the back. Well, apparently, I'll get into this, but yeah, it's a really big deal for me. I never 100% games, but it was just that good, and it was so much fun to jump around the city and to do a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know who's calling me. Go away.
It makes you feel like Spider-Man.
It makes me feel like Spider-Man. I'll say this. It does a good job at making you feel not just like Spider-Man, like that. I know it's been said a million times. I know that Dunky had that video and stuff. It makes you feel like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is something I don't think a game has ever done that well before. Like I think I don't know if I told you this when it first came out. There's a high five button in the game. It's a dedicated button.
Is it really?
Where whenever you're in a crowd of people, you can put up your hand and high five people walking by. You can give them like finger guns and stuff. You can just tell them you're like have a great day. It's fantastic. A lot of the missions are just you going around the city helping people. Like there's one where there's this man who's down on his luck. I think his family died, and he has all these pet pigeons, but they escape throughout the city. So all you do, it's like a big mission too. Like they spend a long time, and you have to really, really work at it. But there's all these pigeons escape throughout the city, and you have to first find the pigeon, and then you have to chase the pigeon down. And then once you collect them, there's like a little cutscene, and then you can go get the next one for him and stuff. But it's like it was a difficult mission to do, and there's no reward for it except that you feel good about yourself for helping this man down on his luck get his pet pigeons back. Like there's so much heart in that game. It's so much fun. There's tons of suits to unlock. Oh, one of the other large things that the video game does is, well, let me explain the plot a little bit actually. Let's lead into it. So this Spider-Man game is after Peter finishes college, or he's at least finished high school. He's got a job in a lab, which you don't technically need to go to high school for, but he's got a job in this working with a scientist. And I'll actually, I don't think it's kind of a spoiler. Anyways, he's working in this lab as a scientist, and he knows a lot about science, and so there's a lot of stuff in the game that kind of comes out about that. Like that's how he makes his little web shooters that he keeps on his wrists. That's how he interacts with the world. There's a lot of science lingo that's tossed into the game. And so one of the big things that happens is his best friend Harry who's I think he's part of he's Norman Osborn's kid, so he's like a big billionaire in the Spider-Man lore. He's worked with his dad to set up all of these little stations around the city on rooftops that monitor different things about the city. And he did it as a humanitarian project. So one of the systems just manages like the sewage pipes to make sure all of them are unclogged and nothing's happening. So you go up to that one, and then a mission will start where it will say, oh, like, oh my gosh, like Harry's thing picked up that there's like water pipe breakage. I need to go around and make sure that like none of these pipes burst, because that could cause a really bad issue for this one apartment building that's in a low income neighborhood. So you have to go around and do that. And it's like a really difficult mission, but again, there's no reward for it whatsoever. It's just a thing that you do for people because you need to be a good person. And it pokes a lot of fun at how like when you're a superhero, you don't make any money at it. You're just kind of doing it because people need it. And so he like, I think like really early in the game, and this isn't a big spoiler, I don't mind saying it. He loses his apartment because he's been busy for the past couple days fighting this bad guy, and so he gets evicted and he doesn't know about it. And then all of his Spider-Man gear is thrown in the trash. So you have to swing around the city desperately. It's like 3 a.m. and you're on the phone and you're talking to one of the sewage guys trying to tell you where this truck might be that grabbed all of your stuff because it was dumped in the trash by the person who evicted you. It's a really, really good mission. The game is so much fun. It's great. And I think that I don't know. I think it's because you feel so good about like just being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that you want to complete all of the side quests. It's also because it's just fun to swing around the city and everything. But oh my gosh. Hey, by the way, can you hear my dog in the background?
I can't. No.
Okay,
but
good.
The problem though is with Discord, there's the noise gate, so I don't hear the really quiet sounds. But sometimes it might get picked up by Audacity when you're recording.
Oh no, I'm on OBS. OBS has a noise gate.
Or, I mean, like when you're recording on your your end.
I should be okay. Usually I should be fine.
It shouldn't be too bad.
Anyways, yeah, so that was my experience with Spider-Man. It's great, man. You got to try it at some point. Do you have any questions about it?
Not really. I mean, what surprised me is, since I don't own a PlayStation 4, it was more so just that I kept seeing it everywhere and how everyone is so excited for it, and I'm like, what? It's just a Spider-Man game.
Did you ever own a Spider-Man game on PlayStation or PS2?
Yeah, so I played what I think was one of these a Spider-Man 2 game.
Okay, I think
PS2.
I think that's supposed to be the best, or before this one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like supposed to be one of the best. And so I did play that and beat it.
I think Spider-Man 2, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was my first PlayStation 2 game I was ever given. So it kind of, maybe this is like this for most people, it kind of just holds a special place to me because I associate Spider-Man so much with just enjoying playing video games as a kid. So I think there was a bit of a nostalgia factor for at least me, but I know a lot of people because that was like 10 years ago or something, almost 15, 20.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's super fun. So yeah, everything's great about it. Like it doesn't. I mean, I want to show you later. Maybe the next time you come over, I'll boot it up just so you can look at it for a sec. It doesn't look like it should be able to run on a PS4. I'm amazed that it can. It's super polished. It's displaying at 1080p, and they're rendering an entire city with a lot of detail, a whole bunch of detail. It just doesn't look like you should be able to do it. And I think it's running, I want to say 40 frames a second. It's definitely not 30, but it's definitely not 60. It's somewhere in the middle.
Ew.
But it's on a PS4. Like it's it's impressive that it's able to do anything like that on a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, but even still, that'd be a huge down.
All right,
I can't. Sorry, I can't get past that. I need my 60 frames, dude.
Yeah. I think you need to see it. I don't know if it runs at 40. It's somewhere between 40 and 60 because I don't think it's as smooth. But the nice thing about PlayStation, which is something I think you're forgetting about a lot of these systems, is that it doesn't the frame rate, unlike a lot of PC games, it doesn't jump up and down. They do a really good job at locking it at a frame rate that it can keep consistently the entire time. So it's way less janky than if you were playing a game at 60 frames and then it jumps down to 30 and then it jumps back up to 60, because you lose a lot of frames when it's doing that. So it looks a lot worse than if it was just running at a straight frame rate. So I'll show it to you later. You can make a decision for yourself. You might still be unimpressed by it, but you'll at least be impressed by the level of detail they're able to give at any frame rate on a PlayStation 4. It's really incredible.
Yeah, and something else that I've grown a lot more accustomed to on like PC gaming and stuff is the ability to turn off stuff like bloom and lens flare and
they got all that.
Especially, okay, do they?
Yeah.
What about motion blur?
Oh, absolutely. Every game has
good.
motion blur toggle now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Like I said, I haven't been actually owned like a modern console.
Yeah, so. I don't think that was true at the beginning of the generation, but a lot of people
I think that's where I get the assumption from.
I remember that toggle was first on the Naughty Dog games, I want to say, like, the Uncharted games and such. That was the first time you were able to do that on PlayStation 4. So I think Uncharted 4 might have been the first time I really noticed it. And then
it's just the fact that it took so long is what gets me.
Yeah. But like Assassin's Creed and stuff. Well, I think it was difficult because there's a different.
Well, it's because it's running at such a low frame rate that the motion blur actually can really be important.
Well,
but it's just for someone like me, I don't like it at all.
Yeah. Well, not just that. I think it's also that there's a paradigm shift between, not a shift, but there's a difference of paradigms between playing on a PC and playing on a console. On the PC, it feels like you've bought a product that can be tweaked in different ways, and that's really easy to do if you've built a PC. Like, you know exactly how that thing works, you know what components are doing what. You can check how much CPU it's using compared to GPU, and it feels much more like a technical experience. Whereas when you play on a PS4, I mean, the nice thing about consoles is that the game never...
You want it to be plug and play, yeah.
Yeah, the game is very plug and play, so it feels like a finished product. And this is the argument. You're not going to like this, but it's true. And this isn't necessarily a good thing or bad thing. In this case, it's a bad thing. With the difference between Apple computers and PCs, there's a large group of... I don't understand how their mind works, but there's a large group of fanatical Apple fans that don't feel that you should ever, for any reason, ever open up your Apple computer to look at the components, because that breaks the artistic mystery behind the whole thing, and they look at it so much as an RPG. Right? That's crazy. It's insane to me.
That's making me fear. I think we got to move on, man, because that's making me angry just thinking about it. That kind of stuff.
It's insane. But there's a large group that looks at it just as these artistic pieces, and I don't think anyone looks at a PS4 as an artistic piece, but they do look at it as just a plug and play. It's just a toy. It's not a thing with like computer components and things you can mess around with. It's just a thing. And because it's just a thing, it's kind of, I can understand why it took a while for that shift to happen, where they're like, well, maybe we should give people the option to turn off. It
definitely makes sense, but then I also think that also is you can kind of correlate that to the rise of software as a service, where you're always paying for subscriptions, like the Adobe Creative Cloud and all that. How a lot of companies have moved on from releasing major versions that you pay for, and then you get to keep the software. Instead, now you just pay monthly.
Oh, I get it. So you see it as an evolving thing, and you see the little tweaks.
So people are, and then with the eventual move for a lot of people, at least for the most part, mainstream, like streaming games and stuff, things aren't becoming so much your own. Things are becoming a lot more like closed source and like, you just expect it to work. Yeah, in a sense, like you're expected to know less and less about it, and yeah, it is nice having an experience that's seamless and something that works. Like I was just earlier today, I was trying to install on Linux some dependencies, and I couldn't get it to work because all I wanted to do was change my lock screen, and I was having trouble with that.
Have you considered, because I know that, I mean, that's something that I'm sure you enjoy, just the idea of a plug and play experience. If it was done well, you'd enjoy that. I think that you can have that now if you wanted to with the new Pro versions of the PlayStation and such. I know that your sister's thinking about getting a PlayStation 4 somewhat soon. Have you thought of maybe? Yeah. I know that you're kind of, that you, because of your guys' relationship, this might make it impossible. But it would be nice, I think, if you could like go in halvesies with her on it or something, just to get like the nice version. Make sure she doesn't just get like a like a refurbished PS4, like actually gets a PS4 Pro that displays in 60 frames a second and can do 4K if you want. Like it, it has all those things on it. So it's like a plug and play experience, but it has all the things that you want. You thought about it?
No, because if I'm at that point now where it's like, well, if I'm gonna pay for something, I might as well just pay for it by myself or something. Especially considering that, like, we're both getting old enough now. Who knows when either of us is gonna move out? And then once we move out, well, then what? For something old, like, if we had gone and halvesies on.
That makes sense. I got you.
So actually, her and one of my other sisters.
Dang it, Jake. I was hoping.
Oh, that's right. Dang it. Sorry.
One time. I don't think she'd even care, but I know your brother-in-law would. I know
someone who will.
Yeah, so I got it.
Okay. Sorry. Either way, they split. They went halvesies on like a used Wii a long time ago, and even then, now it's like, well, technically, I paid more of it or something. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you can't have that pettiness.
And so since she's moved out and Rachel still lives at home, it's like, oh well, where should it be?
That makes sense. Well, that's too bad. I really hope at some point you get and I know this is the only way it'll happen. At some point, I hope that you get like the itch to get something like that. That'll play all of those PS4 games you've been wanting to for a while and stuff, and you won't be able to get it out of your head. Because I know right now all you're thinking is like, well, I could do that, or I could buy a PC commoner or something. It's the only way it'll happen.
Or I could get through like the 300 PC games I haven't played that I own.
There's so many, like PS4. This generation has been so good for like incredible titles, and they're all just on PlayStation, and they're all so worth playing. And I would
Sony definitely took the cake with that one.
Oh, absolutely! Bloodborne, Horizon Zero Dawn, Last of Us, Uncharted,
Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh no, I'm thinking of Nier Automata. Never mind.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that was on Xbox or something. But yeah, all of these titles now, Red Dead, like it's a shame that they're just coming to PS4, but they're so good. Like these are the best titles that have come out of this generation, and I think that the only ones that come close to it otherwise are like there's Witcher, there's I know there's a couple other ones that are multi-platform. I'm trying to think of them because there's so I guess PUBG. I don't know. Anyways, a lot of these like they're only the single player experience games. All of the best ones of that, with the exception of I think just Witcher so far, have all come out just on PlayStation. I'm trying to think. Is there any exception?
Xbox
to that?
has really been lacking in the exclusives department.
Yeah, and since Xbox lacking, PC's been lacking because I can't think of a single one. I guess Senua's Sacrifice, but I still haven't tried that one. I don't know. I'll check later. Maybe there's one that I'm missing. Okay, sorry. We gotta move on. You want to talk about S.T.A.L.K.E.R really quick so I can have a break?
We do want to talk about.
I do, but I'm hoping to go like you talk, then I talk, then you talk, then I talk. Yeah, and it's hard because most of these are mine anyways, but.
Yeah. Well, as for S.T.A.L.K.E.R Call of Pripyat. Pripyat.
I don't know.
Pripyat. Yeah, you have to do it in the accent.
Pripyat.
I played like 20 minutes. It's not what I was expecting. I was expecting a much more linear level-based kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's open world. And so I started up the game. I got my settings all right. I got my resolution right. Everything was ready. And so I clicked on start new game. I watched the intro. First thing, the voiceover and the subtitles were completely different. Some sentences, like, for whatever reason, the subtitles were not even what was being said a lot of the time. And so I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then it ends, and I'm just dropped right into the game. Like, literally not even a loading screen. It's just, bam, you're right there.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah, but here I'm thinking, nothing's being told to me. I don't know what any of my controls are.
Oh, I love when they do that. You don't like that?
Well... See, but since I wasn't expecting it to be open world, I was already kind of like, wait, this isn't what I was in the mood to play. I was kind of like, and then it's just, I don't know, man. It's not what I was expecting.
Is it bad?
I don't know. I didn't play very much, but I was just so confused. There's no map. I don't know where I'm supposed to go.
That's awesome. I want to play that. That sounds amazing. That sounds
no. I understand the appeal, and I do want to try to like get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, just beginning, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
Is it multiplayer? Do you know?
I don't think so. No,
Starter
actually, yeah,
multiplayer.
it is. There is a
Okay.
multiplayer element.
All right, so we need to try this together because that sounds like the new Forest game that you've been wanting to play the Forest again or something like that. This might be it, or this could be close enough.
It's not so. It doesn't seem like it's so much as of a survival game, but
Well, I don't think it's so much that, but I believe what you're going to find is that I'm assuming because it's a Russian dystopian open world game. It's probably very, very barren. Everyone you come into contact with is going to want to kill you. There's going to be some kind of either resource management or at least like ammo and stuff will be scarce. That sounds close enough to me for what you're experiencing.
so here's my thing about all those points though. I found two people right off the bat walking around. Didn't want to kill me. They just told me to lower my gun and I could talk to them. And they gave me just started opening up to every question I could ask. Like, hey, where should I get this? Hey, where should I do that? Where can I go? Did you see this and that? And they're just like, oh yeah, here, let me just explain everything to you. And then I walked a little bit more down the hill. I saw like a little, I don't know, base or whatever. I went in there, talked to everyone. Everyone was just super nice and telling me all the information I could ever want to know. So,
well, there's your tutorial, man. I don't know what you're complaining
but they
about.
weren't giving me they were telling me oh yeah, go over to here and kill these guys or something, or oh, go to this, try and find this place where I hid treasure.
That's fascinating. I'm really curious about this thing.
And then also as for ammo, it might get scarce later.
Definitely
it probably
not now.
does, but I started out with 200 rounds. So
I don't know. Okay, well, I was wrong. That's interesting. This is a very fascinating game. I don't necessarily want to buy it yet, but I'm at least going to look up YouTube videos later.
Yeah, and you can pick it up pretty cheap as far as I know. When
did this thing come out? This must be
it's like a 10-year-old game now.
Yeah. I don't know. That's curious. All right. Last topic before we break finally.
It's been really long. Are you sure we want to go on?
We don't have to, but I want to talk about Wuppo really quick. Then we'll break and then we'll talk about it then. Wuppo is a game that came out. I know it was just released on PS4. This can't have come out that long ago. Initial release date September 29th, 2016. So it's 2 years old. This game is the cutest thing I've ever seen. It's just the most adorable game in the world. It's a 2D platformer adventure, which is probably still a little bit. It's kind of more of an RPG. I don't really know what I'd call it. So there's some platforming. There's not very much of it. There's items that you can collect. There's an inventory system in the whole thing. There's different weapons that you can use. There's different things to equip. Every character in the game you can talk to, have whole conversations with. There's amusement parks you can go to in order to play games or just ride roller coasters. It's a very I really don't know how to talk about this game too much other than it's really cute. There's a button just so you can whistle. There's a whistle button in the whole game. And if you whistle near certain things, weird things happen. So there's an island, and what I mean by that, it's not like everywhere you just whistle in random spots. You'll go to an island and this guy's like, isn't this a nice place to whistle? And so you whistle next to him for a while. And when I say a while, I mean a good just 2 minutes of you clicking that button constantly to continually whistle. And he's like, hey, your whistling's really, really good and it's improving. Here's some stuff for you. And it's just super cute. It's just, I don't know. You play the game as you look kind of like a dust bunny, like you're a little white blob. With ill-defined, borders for your character. It's just a thick line that goes around you and stuff. You're part of I think the larger story is you're part of a race of Wums, and the Wums a long time ago won the war over these other adorable races, and now those adorable races are your slaves. And so there's this racist component to it and stuff, and there's old war criminals that'll explain it, and then sometimes you can find people to take bubble baths with and just watch the time go by. It's just the cutest thing. I don't know what to tell you. It's a super long game and it's really well fleshed out. I was not expecting a great experience from this whole thing, but it's awesome. I don't know. It's great. Anyways, it just released for PlayStation 4. I got it on Steam. It was really cheap. I got it because there's a new Humble Bundle out that's all for overwhelmingly positive games on Steam. And which by the way is a great reason to get a Humble Bundle because it's only I think $7.30.
Yeah, if you want to
But
get everything.
yeah, if you want to get everything. Well, I think technically it's like 15, but the last one like doesn't matter. It's like an extra $2 to start. I don't know why they want you to spend 15. Anyways, it's a great price for the games that you get. And you only need the $7 version to get Wuppo, along with a whole bunch of other games. Anyways, it's super cute, and I can't believe I've never seen it before. I can't believe it blew me away like this. It's just the most adorable thing.
Go buy the game.
Yeah, go buy the game. All right, we need another break, and we'll see if we come back after that. Hold on, before you talk about it, you want to just start again?
Well, I mean, technically, we're still recording anyway.
That's true. All right.
But
welcome back, everybody. Hi.
But all I want to say though, okay, so it's a federal mandate to streamline the process for building out 5G.
Okay, so the what Jake is talking about is a news article because we're in the news section.
Apparently.
And the title of the article is "How 5G Pits Big Carriers and Government Against Small Towns." So what's happening is there's oh God, stop! I hate the pop-ups, and it's always like video pop-ups, and they're on full volume.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Anyways, the issue is that 5G uses a very, very small bandwidth, or not a very, very small bandwidth. It's a small light wavelength to communicate with devices. This is like really, really small. It's on like the nanometer scale, I think. It's like 10 nanometers or something. It's a super, super small wavelength, which means it's super high power, but you cannot do it over long distances. And when I say long distances, I mean if you want to use 5G, you have to be within, I think, maybe 200 feet, 300 feet of the thing. This
is saying you need to be like, there needs to be one in like every street block.
Yes, absolutely. It's great. Which when they pitch it like that, I'm like, whoa, that's
crazy.
That's freaking huge. I did not know that, but so it's a really big issue right now because what that means is that all of these companies need to put these things up on a lot of places, and so they're having a hard time with it because that's super expensive. Every single time they do one, there's apparently fees that go along with that they have to pay to the local government in order to get the mandate to do it. And so they're asking for some slack to get this in, saying that this is a public good. This is things that's going to benefit everybody, even if they're paying us for it and stuff. Like it's a utility, but we're also making money off of it, which I guess is always the case with utilities. But anyway, so it's a big deal because these small towns are saying no, that'd be a ton of money for us. We need to do that. But if they keep those fees, that would stifle these big companies like Verizon and stuff from putting 5G in more rural places because they just wouldn't put in the money for that. They would only do it for very densely populated places. So it would end up only benefiting large cities, and everybody else would just be left in the dust with 5G, and they'd all be stuck with 4G forever. So, by the way, the difference,
not even 4G.
Yeah, or not even 4G. By the way, the difference is huge. I think with 5G, the median, like the normal rate that you get is around 700 megabits per second. And that's after like a lot of tests. Like that's what you will see on your phone. I think it's technically 1.5 gigabits per second or whatever, but it's functionally it's like 700 megabits, which is crazy. Like that's really awesome.
It's still really good.
Yeah, and I would hope that that's going to kind of pave the way from, instead of having to pay for both Wi-Fi and cellular stuff, you could just go with, you just have a cell plan that also benefits your house. And instead of paying per gigabit, it'll just be one expensive thing that covers both at the same time. But anyways, so I brought it up because it's becoming a bit of a partisan issue. Republicans are really trying to help these companies out, and Democrats are really on the other side. So I hope it doesn't flare up. Oh, yeah, and then everyone on the ground is just pissed off because now it's becoming a partisan issue on the federal level. And they're saying, no, this is going to affect my town. This should not be going to a federal government body. So it's just, they're all just mad and yelling about it right now, trying to figure out what's going on.
It's really tricky to talk about this kind of stuff and not upset at least one person.
No, yeah, absolutely. Somebody's going to be mad at the end of the day. But and it's hard because no matter what it's not just like a company has a sad face at the end. Like it would be like towns that wouldn't get this, or they would get this but lose money, and I don't know, it's crazy. Anyways, all right, I'm glad we started with that one. Which one do you want to do next?
Okay, let's see.
How about we'd spend 5 seconds on the Telltale stuff and then move on, because I know you don't want to talk about it.
I really don't want to talk about it, but I'll let you do it if you want to.
All right. So Telltale laid off all their staff, most of their staff, and were just running a skeleton crew because the company went belly up very, very quickly. And it seems like poor management was happening. There's lawsuits flying everywhere. And so there's a new Skybound Games is the company that's going to pick up the last season of what's it called? What's the game? Walking Dead. The last season of Walking Dead that's been promised by Telltale. So they're the ones covering the project. So it's just a nice story because it's the story. It's a Kotaku article talking about how Skybound Games is trying really hard to pick up all of the original Telltale staff, or at least a lot of them, to finish this game because all of those people were just put out without severance, without anything, like just to fend for themselves. All these families. So it's looking really, really good. If they can pick them up, that'll really alleviate a lot of the stress put on all those families because Telltale was very poorly run and didn't realize they need to pay things like severance before trying to finish projects. But
important stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. There's my little blurb about it.
Okay.
All right. You want to do the other one that
you
don't want to talk about?
This next one. Because I saw this and I never read it.
What is it?
The email one. Helm.
Oh, okay. So the next one, I guess we'll go on. And I don't want to spend much time talking about this one.
Oh,
either.
Okay. That's what?
Yeah. So I wanted to ask your opinion, but let me hold on.
Okay, I'll let you go. Sorry.
No. Do you want to introduce it? I don't mind that at all.
What they're so it's a startup that all they want to do is make it so that you host your own email, and and I'm not just talking about like you rent a server somewhere and all that. You actually buy like a little nice little server box. It looks like a little teepee, and you put it on your desk, and it's in your home, and it's $500 apparently, and it's free for a year to use, but it'll cost $100 a year after that, and that fee apparently includes a domain registration and your security certificates and all that. So it's basically trying to take something you can do by yourself already, but just simplifying it a lot and making it a lot easier, a lot more accessible. Okay. But the problem is I feel like people who are actually worried about their security, where they don't want a big company like Google with all their emails and they want to host it themselves, they're not going to dish out the money for it. They're just going to do it themselves because they'll have the technical know-how. I don't know if there's really actually an overlap in the market, like the niche they're looking to fill. I don't know if there's that many people there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like that'd be weird to see like the overlap in the market, because really what this would be for, especially it's talking down here about two-factor authentication and proximity-based security. So this would be for people who are very paranoid about this thing happening.
Oh yeah.
So it's a special type of person that would want to do this. It would be someone who maybe private businesses I could see wanting to do it, wanting to do everything in-house. Although that might not be the best idea. You could also have. I'm trying to think of who would want to use this thing.
But a private business, they're not going to use something like that. They're going to need something a little more robust and a little.
Yeah, something where
better.
If their house burns down, they can still run their business.
Yeah, exactly. And what I want to that's another thing though, is I want to know if this is storing your emails in one place. Well, that's no.
Yeah,
good.
Or are they? Yeah, if it's if it's a thing that you have to pay for, if it's a service, are they backing up everything as well to make sure that you have two copies of it?
Because the only thing that they're doing with the money, it looks like, as far as I can tell, is you need the domain, which is like $10 a year. You need security certificates, which can be I don't know, I can't remember, but that can be like over $50 a year, like $100 a year.
Yeah, I really don't see this as a good. First of all, it seems like way too much money for this stupid little box. It's just a teeny little server.
It's its own entire computer though.
It is, but it's only 128 gigs of storage. And as far as I understand, for a server, you really don't need that powerful of a computer. You could, for $500, you could probably get at least half a terabyte, if not more, if you don't want to go solid state.
Well, no, it's more so about the fact that it's solid state and it's quicker that way.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that makes enough sense.
For emails, that's going to be more than enough. For
emails, yeah, but I assume the reason you want a private server is to do anything.
No. That's the shit though. This isn't a private server. This is a private email server. That's all it'll do. Unless you want to. I haven't. Maybe they mention it in here somewhere, but they.
I think it's just email, yeah. But see, the thing is that Google does a lot more than just Gmail, and I'd assume they'd want stuff like, to have a place to host files, to have a place to keep like, beloved family pictures and stuff, to keep all those albums. Like people use Google and Gmail for a lot of like I mean, Gmail's integrated into it, and it's only one part, but to just replace only Gmail just for your emails, that I mean that's a very specific case where you're only worried about security. It's not about backing it up. It's not about anything like that. You're just nervous about other people being able to look at your stuff.
Yeah, and so like that's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's like if you don't want Google reading your emails, then you probably already have a system set up so you don't have to use Gmail, and so you're already not using any of Google's other stuffs anyway. So
yeah, that's crazy. Whatever. Yeah, it's an interesting company. I just posted it because I thought the company looked interesting. But
it's interesting things to take into consideration, like how hackable it might be. Like, could I
Yeah.
like what if I just literally want the server? Could I alter the software in any way? Like what flavor of Linux is it running and all that?
Yeah.
So
I'm sure there's
something interesting in here is it looks like it does have might have a dedicated chip for encryption, similar to how I know a lot of the newer phones kind of have that. And I know Google actually has cloud-based security measures. Google Titan, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to think about.
Yeah, there's a non-zero number of people who are going to want this, but it just seems super specific.
Yeah, it just sounds like a major convenience aspect. That's what you're looking for.
It doesn't seem like they're trying to reach a lot of people. I would assume that a company like this would want to reach as many people as possible, but that's
they want to see business.
Maybe this is a lot of people. Maybe not thinking of some group that would need something like this. All right. We're going all over the place, so it's hard to see how many topics we have left. Okay, I just want to quickly mention this one. I don't want to spend much time because I know you already groaned when you saw it. So for one of the Black Mirror episodes, either this season or next season, it's going to be a choose your own adventure style. And I put this one next to the Telltale one because there was a deal between Netflix and Telltale that fell through because the company went belly up. But they're looking to try to build something like this on a larger scale, like doing more series like this. And I think Black Mirror is just a test to see if this would work with audiences. And I think it's awesome. Do you not think it's awesome? You didn't seem like you
when I watch
very
TV,
positively to it.
Well,
let me pose it a different way. Okay, don't think of it as when you watch TV. Think of it when you watch TV with friends. Like when you come over here to my house.
Hang on. I have a question though. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
But reading the first one of the paragraphs, it sounds more like it'll affect the next episode for everyone.
Really?
I'm confused. So it'll let viewers choose the next storyline in a TV episode or movie, according to the people familiar. So it almost makes it sound more like
it's like a survey that you have at the end.
I don't know.
That sounds more like a survey. It sounds more like you finish the episode and you're like, how do you want it to end? Or how do you wish it could, continue? That's too bad. I was hoping it'd be more like an episode where there's like 5 points in the episode where you can choose like which option you're going to take. Because for a group of people watching at the same time, especially for something like Black Mirror, that sounds super fun. Like that sounds really, really fun to do with a group of people.
So reading a little further down here too. Apparently, they've already released a handful of episodes of Choose Your Own Adventure animated programs designed for kids.
Okay, we got to check those out later. I got to watch those like tonight.
Yeah, so within the first couple minutes of Puss in Book, what? Oh, Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
The viewer must choose whether the pugilistic feline fights a god or a tree.
That's awesome.
After watching one version, the viewer can go back and choose the alternate scenario.
That's bullcrap. I get why they're doing that for kids shows, but there should be a definitive, like, you know what? Netflix service refuses to allow you to do this unless you pay for a second subscription at Netflix. To allow you to choose, like, I want it super strong. For Black Mirror, I want them to put hard brakes on it. But anyways, that's just me being funny. That's interesting. Oh, I had no idea they were already doing this. That's incredible.
Yeah, I had no idea either.
Netflix also is about to release a new animated series based on the popular video game Minecraft. Yeah, Telltale Games, the company that was working with Netflix on the show, recently laid off most of its staff. But the show, based on the world's most popular video game, is mostly finished and will be released later this year. Gosh, Telltale, that's fascinating. All right, I'm really excited
That
about
was
this.
some serious mismanagement. If they were like working with like Netflix and stuff.
No, they did. They had tons of deals going through, and they got to a point where they say, "Hey, listen, there's no money left. There's just none.
Like,
We
where
ran
did
out
it
of money."
go?
Yeah, well, I mean, they were doing. I think they were just overstretched. I think it was a company problem where they decided, we have a lot of resources right now. Let's reinvest immediately without, putting some in the piggy bank just in case something happens. Just in case something else. And then what happened was there was a line of funding that they were working on with a larger group. Because there's always like banks and like private interests always involved in this stuff to be like, yeah, it seems like a good investment. And it seems like in one of their investing rounds, some really big investor that was about to put a ton of money in backed out at the last second, and that made their whole company go belly up. So the issue isn't that it was poorly managed money. Well, I mean, that is the issue. The issue isn't that like they were spending improperly. The problem is they didn't have enough foresight to have anything to fall back on. Like the moment they hit the ground hard, like very, very hard.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't a
get up
trampoline.
from
It was rock bottom.
Yeah, they didn't realize that they needed some in the bank to. I don't know. That's too bad. But anyway, wow, this article got a lot more fascinating. By the way, this is a Bloomberg article that we're reading. Okay, I think there's only one or two left. Oh yeah, Essential's laying off 30% of their staff. That's sad. They're gonna die as fast as they started.
Yeah, that's a shame.
No, I mean, I never.
No, I liked where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So hopefully
they were the first ones.
Hopefully they could still do something. Like their attachments. I like the overall design of their phone. They were the first ones to do the notch, and
I was gonna mention that.
In a way that I think is still better than the iPhone, even though you don't like the nipple design, as you like to call it.
I hate the nipple design. Keep going.
And no, I think they had a lot going for them, but I can't remember why exactly, but there were a couple reasons I didn't buy that phone and I just waited and ended up getting the LG V30.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really hoping they could have addressed those in a second version of the phone. They had so much potential, I saw, especially because for someone like me, they were really trying to stay as close to stock Android as possible. That was one of the big selling points is we actually give you monthly security updates like those other companies that don't. I'm still on Android 8.0 on my V30. Yeah. I haven't even got like a security update in months.
This might have been it. Apparently they were running Ambient OS, which was their own, flavor of Android. That might have been why. I know you're pretty hard about stock Android.
No, but it was pretty close to.
Okay.
To
yeah,
stock.
I assume they always have to change it a little bit when you're doing stuff like the add-ons, like the 3D camera that you could just put on your phone. I can't imagine normal Android without any. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. But I can see why they would do their own flavor of operating system. Yeah, that's too bad. I hope it still sticks around. It kind of makes me want to buy it, or at least look really closely at the Essential phone or the Essential Phone 2 as my next phone, because I would really like if this company didn't go under. And, they'll have to sell me on it still. Like, I won't just go out and buy it just to keep the company afloat. But I'm going to look into it more closely to see if I'd really like that phone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Hope it sticks around.
All right. And last but certainly not least.
All right, here we go.
Tim, this is really important. And I need you to remember this, okay?
Hold on. Before you go into it, you should tell the audience what else I've been doing in my spare time.
Oh, just vaping, right?
So I wanted a way to. I've got a bad oral fixation, and I usually bite my nails to get rid of that. I've been really trying hard not to bite my nails, so I bought a nice vape pen for myself, and I only use it in my room, not doing it in my car or anything. I don't do it around people because I don't want to seem like a douchebag. But it's so good at keeping my fingers better. So I got a vape pen a while ago. So Jake doesn't like vape pens or the smell.
No,
and I get that.
Just for me personally, I don't mind them so much. I don't mind the smells that much. But for me, I probably won't ever do it just because I'm not a huge fan. Your lungs aren't really designed for tiny little particulate matter like that. So
that's fair.
But it's also really important, Tim, that you don't put Viagra in your vape liquid.
But why not?
Well, as you can see from this article. The FDA is telling a company to not do that, at all.
So I've got a bit to say on this. First of all, I want to mention that when I got it, I was very strong that I did not want any kind of, well, I mean any drug at all, but in particular, not tobacco. What's the active ingredient in tobacco? You know what I'm talking about.
I don't even know.
Emily just walked in. Emily, what's the active ingredient in tobacco? Nicotine. Thank you.
Oh yeah, duh.
I was very strong that I didn't want any nicotine in my thing. So it's you know, I get a funny look whenever I tell anyone else who vapes, because apparently most people want nicotine in their vape, which I find crazy.
That's dumb.
That
like I mean, sorry, but
that's crazy.
Like,
yeah, it's
no.
They want to get addicted even though they don't have to. I don't get it at all. Anyways, so before going into this topic, I just want everyone to know I don't like the idea of any of it. And there's a big issue with this, and there's a reason that the FDA said no on this stuff. So Viagra we know what Viagra's for and everything. Viagra is normally taken orally, as far as I understand it, and I believe that's how Cialis is taken too. This is a topic that comes up in pharmacology a lot, called pharmacokinetics. And what pharmacokinetics does is it's a research. It's a group of research that has to be done on products that are about to go to market to understand how they affect your body as they're getting to the places that they need to go to. So the issue is that if you take, well, let's take like a big example, like what was the big one? Did you ever see, what was that movie? Pulp Fiction. Did you ever see Pulp Fiction?
Oh, no, we never got around to watching it.
Okay, we'll get around to watching that soon. There's a scene in Pulp Fiction where one of the characters in the movie takes heroin, and so he has a needle and everything, and he injects heroin into his arm and stuff. And later on in the movie, a girl finds it, and she thinks it's cocaine, and so she snorts the heroin that's supposed to be injected. And when she does that, she immediately falls to the ground and starts having a seizure, and then she actually dies for a few minutes in the movie. And the reason that happens is because the way that you ingest things, it goes through different channels. So when you inject something into your bloodstream, that drug actually circulates around your body and then is shoved into your it goes through your liver and then out your liver the other side before it starts really, really messing with stuff.
Yeah. And
when that happens, I think it goes through your liver before it gets back to your heart. When that whole process happens, it some of the bonds break and some of the bonds are degraded, so that a different amount of the drug hits you. Some of the drug doesn't look like it did when you first injected it. A whole bunch of things happen. And that changes when you put things in your lungs, because your lungs hit your heart really, really fast. And so you get much more concentrated dosage of things. Nothing breaks down. Sometimes the drug is supposed to be broken down before it's used by your body. And that's why some drugs are taken orally. Some drugs need to be taken by needles. Some are just put on your skin, like topical solutions. I think the patch that you get for, I think there's a patch that they have for pain medication and stuff. Anyways, you use these different methods because they hit their body different. So whoever's putting it, this company, what's the company name doing this? S.T.A.L.K.E.R Electronic Technology. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Because if they knew anything about the science behind drugs, they would know that you do not do that until a lot of testing's gone into it, because you can kill people potentially. It is a horrible idea. And that's why the FDA is so mad at it, because drugs are not supposed to be taken different than how they originally come.
And apparently it's a prescription medication to begin with in the first,
Yes.
So
yeah, absolutely. It's a horrible idea, and it's oh man, it's a bad idea. Don't do drugs through vape. Don't do drugs through vapes, kids. Oh man. All right, that was a good one to end on.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So, but here's the real question though. Last episode you ended it kind of abruptly. I don't know what that was about.
It's because so actually, you know what? We have two more things. I'm not going to talk about those two things. So what happened was I had a song that I was going to play at the end, and I accidentally put it in. Well, I didn't accidentally put it. I was like, oh, it'd be interesting if I put this in the middle, and maybe it'd be a nice break for people. But anyways, by the end of editing, because I was I think an hour or two later, I was like, that's a bad idea. I shouldn't do that. But by that point, I'd made so many cuts in both your audio and my audio that I couldn't just take the whole chunk and drag it backwards in the audio mixer. I had to go through and move individual parts. But just the way that it worked out was that it was so complicated to do that. I didn't want to I would have messed up like the whole thing. It wouldn't have sounded right if I dragged it all back and fixed it. So I just decided to leave it in there instead of adding 3 or 4 more hours. Well, I think it was at least an hour of work that I would have had to do
and then
to fix the whole
you
issue.
Just forgot to add a song at the end too, right?
Well, I looked for a song and I was like, but I didn't want to add 2 songs because that seemed really, really superfluous. Yeah. So I'll do a song at the end. I won't stick a whole one in the middle. I think what I did in the episode previous to last episode, and I really liked that, is I put a chunk of the song. I think I put like a 20-second snippet for one of the breaks, and then I played the whole song at the end, and I really liked how that felt. And I think I might do that again this time.
Almost.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what was that interesting song?
Yeah, it's like you got to listen to the whole thing to find out what the song is.
Yeah, and I think I ended at a point where like the crescendo was about to start, so you felt like you missed something. So at the end, you could try. I don't know. I won't do what I did last time.
Tactics on the podcast there.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for talking, Jake.
Thank you.
Oh man. Oh geez, that was a lot of talking.